Yukio Mishima knew that hobbyist writers were weaklings, that writers who are just doing it for fun, just to put a book out into the world, to share their story, are saturating a market and ruining an opportunity for a literary renaissance. They are the enemies of what we are trying to do here on Right Conscious to create a global educational awakening. And today we are going to hear Mishima talk at length on what the purpose of art is, what you should be doing as an author. And here on Right Conscious, we cover everything related to Yukio Mishima. In the playlist down below, you will find videos on Mishima's books, his life, his writing philosophy, his life philosophy, and so much more. And that list is growing weekly. But enough from me, everybody. Let us now hear from Mishima. I am convinced, however, that art kept snugly within the bounds of art alone shrivels and dies. And in this sense, I am no believer in what is commonly called art for art's sake. If art is not constantly threatened, stimulated by things outside its domain, it exhausts itself. Literary art takes its material from life. But although life is thus the mother of literature, it is also her bitter enemy. Although life is inherent in the author himself, it is also the eternal antithesis of art. All at once I recognized in Hagakure a philosophy of life, and somehow I felt that its beautiful, pristine world could stir up the quagmire that was the world of literature. For me, the meaning of Hagakure is in the vision of this pristine world, and although it is the influence of Hagakure that has made living as an artist so unusually difficult for me, at the same time, Hagakure is the womb from which my writing is born. It is the eternal supplying source of my vitality. By its relentless whip, by its command, by its fierce criticism, because its beauty, which is the beauty of ice. And we've been programmed, or I guess I should say reintroduced to this 19th century philosophy of art that says that art should be devoid of any moral or social concerns, that art should be done just for art's sake. But Mishima recognizes when you look at Victorian poetry, when you look at the art from that era, it eventually stagnates. Yes, it is beautiful, but if it is not stimulated, if it is not threatened, as Mishima discusses, then it remains in a vacuum. And art depends on engagement with life. But the problem is that life stands in opposition to art. And this has been a long recognized problem in the field of aesthetics, which is the tension between autonomy and engagement. And Mishima sees the Hagakure, as a means to kind of bridge this gap, to solve the problem of art. Because why are you writing right now? What is the axiomatic force driving you? Are you a part of the my writing movement? Oh, it's all about my story, my success, my novel. Is it really your novel? To throw it back to the 1967 essay, The Death of the Author by Ronald Barthes, but that's a different video. But the Hagakure asks us to expand our purpose in art in terms of ethos, because it asks us to confront death, loyalty, and ethical commitment, which is the last thing that modern authors want to do. The last thing that the writers, the writer who just wants to get published and get recognized, he's not thinking about an ethical commitment. He's not worried about loyalty. He just wants to write his little science fiction novel. Oh, just let me do it. I feel that too. Guys, I don't want to sit here and go on the warpath, but do you recognize the time we are in right now? Mishima was trying to blow the whistle in a much better time for art, in a much more, one could say, free and artistically open society, because people were educated, people were radical, people had radical ideas. Someone like Mishima, Julius Evola, these figures could exist in society without getting canceled, because people say now, well, they deserve to be canceled. They have freedom of speech, but us as a democracy of a bunch of fucking idiots who are less healthy, less intelligent, and less happy than ever, our opinion, the masses' opinion, conglomerated on social media websites where algorithms push them into madness, those opinions are what matters. And if we go and cancel someone, if we invalidate them and fact check them and shut off their microphone, then they are the idiots. They get to be canceled. Their voice is gone. Throw them off of YouTube and put them on Rumble. But if you develop a stoic and aesthetic discipline that, we could look to that, in the samurai or in the knight errant or whoever. But you can engage with life. You can engage in life in a proper way, but not be consumed by it, because that's what happens to artists. That's what happens in literature when you go out into the world. Look at all the authors behind me. Guys like Tom Wolfe were consumed by literature, by the world. And countless others, and their art and their life and their principles also were lost in that struggle. Because as artists, we are overwhelmingly sensitive. And so when we walk out into the world, it is amazing to us. We notice things and we become consumed by it. We become addicted to it. There is a connection between creativity and addiction, which are both centered in fantasy. And fantasy comes from inputs. Sometimes, half of the time, and the other time just from pure imagination. But inputs are what fuels the imaginations. So artists can become obsessed with life. And this is why we see so many artists when they get fame, when they have access to more of life, and they don't have to live by the ethical principles. Because right now, if you are a writer, there's no Instagram hoes in your DM or a bunch of hot dudes that are like, want to dominate you or whatever. Like, oh, smart girl. Oh, want to dominate. That's not happening for you right now, unfortunately, most likely. And so and you don't have any money. You have no access to anyone. No one cares about you. So it's easy to live an ethical and disciplined lifestyle and a stoic lifestyle. But then when you're given the opportunity to indulge, how many people go down? And Mishima did not go down. You could say Mishima's suicide was some terrible mistake, but it was an artistic choice to show us in the future the point of his message, to do something that our Western minds couldn't comprehend with our suicide hotline programming. Just say no, live another day. You took the easy way out, bro. Mishima, you wrote 45 novels and did more than anybody else. Think of your life. I'm thinking of my life. I haven't done anywhere close to what Mishima has done. Oh, I have a family. I'm a good guy. Let's go, everybody. Let's go. Let's set the bar higher. We can compare ourselves to others and not put ourselves down. We can reach and look higher. And Mishima, if we wanted to kind of get to this quote, talks about the Hagakure as this kind of pristine vehicle for looking at art through, because in the post-war world, we have been now hit with existentialism, nihilism, defeatism, sad boys, sad girls, materialism, a lack of a social fabric, a lack of a monomyth, a lack of spirituality in whatever way. We don't have any of that anymore. And so in contrast, when you have a philosophy that is based on purity, decisive action, and certainty, and isn't bogged down with all the baggage and weight of the Bible, then you can walk through that world with certainty. And this is why being a hobbyist writer, being a writer who just does it for art's sake is a joke, because what are you doing? Is that your life's purpose? Is that what you think of yourself? I have something to say to the world. I have something that can change. I have something that can transform others. I believe it in myself because it's done it to me, and I know it can be done for others. I believe in it. If you're not trying to do that, that's just because you don't believe in yourself and you've not experienced enough life yet. And that's why people hide behind pen names. That's why people don't publish. That's why they send it off to the Kindle graveyard and complain, because they do not understand how to take decisive action in life yet. And no matter what framework you are using, it could be whatever religion or whatever else, but you need help as an artist in 2024 to transcend the moral and spiritual decay that is happening right now. Because if you don't, you will be like everybody else. So not even these people behind me. You'll be like all the other MFAs, all the diversity quota authors. You will be writing like them, and you don't want to be like them. Who gives a fuck if your book is published? Who cares if you're cool? What really matters is how many lives you transform. I would rather transform 100 people's lives than sell 100,000 copies of a book and be famous and have the Insta hoes and have the money and have this and have any of that, because that's what actually matters. And more importantly than those 10 people, I would rather transform myself, because then as I walk through the world, I am hopefully a pillar of responsibility, respectability, whatever, for other people, to help other people, to say like, hey, you can do better. You're not worse than me, but hey, we can all hold ourselves to certain principles. All that is gone now. And so this is how, when you have this type of stuff, you can write 45 novels, 235 short stories, a bunch of essays, a bunch of plays, and have the output that Mishima had in 15 or 25 years. You can do stuff like that and keep the quality high. You can live a life. You can have a family. You can get energy and vitality, as Mishima is saying, from the most insane places. But it starts with having an ethical code of principles. It starts with you believing in yourself and saying, I'm not going to be a hobbyist writer. My art is actually saying something. And if your work isn't, then that sucks. I'm sorry. Throw it in the fucking trash. Throw it away. Who cares? Don't saturate the market. Anyone could write a book. Someone the other day said, I just want to prove you wrong, Ian. I just want to show that you can post a book for art's sake and it doesn't matter. Dude, anyone could write a fucking book. Anybody can make a baby. It's not some crazy thing. 4 million books get published every single year. It's not an accomplishment anymore. It doesn't matter. Oh, great job, Johnny. Gold star for you. You wrote a book. Who cares? Do something with it. Do something with yourself. Anything. Something. If it actually is good, and it will transform the lives of other people, and it will get word of mouth. If you have any form of marketing, if you get enough people to look at it by hook or by crook, and it means something, then it will kick off. If it doesn't mean anything, then it won't, and then you should reanalyze, and instead of complaining about everyone else, look at yourself. Those are the ethical principles. Those are the ethical principles in the Hagakure. You don't blame others, you blame yourself. You look inward. The answers are here, everybody. This is your Wednesday morning motivation. Let's go, everybody. I will see you guys very soon in another Mishima video. Peace.